Hey guys, Trev from the Struggling Artist Podcast, and I want to talk to you real quick about Struggling Artist Record Club. The Struggling Artist Record Club is a vinyl record subscription service where I hunt and curate the best punk and punk-adjacent music out there and mail their record to your door each and every month. Imagine finding your new favorite band from across the country without ever having to leave the house. It doesn't get much better than that. The excitement of discovering new music just got that much easier. As a member of the Struggling Artist Record Club, you are going to receive some of the best music you've ever heard from bands you may never even heard of. Whether you've been collecting records for years or just starting out, the Struggling Artist Record Club is designed specifically for you. And right now, all new members get a Struggling Artist Record Club exclusive along with the monthly selection. So head to StrugglingArtistRecordClub.com, pick a membership, and start building that collection today.
You're listening to the Struggling Artist Podcast.
People need to be entertained. They need the distraction.
With your host, Trev Allen.
I wish to God that somebody would do something to block out the voices in my head for 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. How are you? How are we doing? I hope you are well. Today, our guest is Megan from work. Megan is also in the band Hell Beach. As the great keytar player, as I like to call them, Megan used to do stand-up comedy, and we talk about that as well. And we talk about their new album, Girl Suit, which is out now. Make sure you go pick it up. Stick around to the end of the episode to hear a track from that album. I was very excited to do this episode with Megan, and I am pumped for you to hear it. This is episode 292 of the Struggling Artist Podcast. Struggling with Megan from work. Your microphone.
Oh, thank you.
What is that? What kind of microphone is that?
It's a Telefunken M80.
What? Oh, I've never even heard of that. It's probably something fancy that I don't know anything about. When I started this podcast, I bought, because I was I was on a budget. I didn't know if I was going to do this longer than the 2 times, when we first started. So I bought these $15 microphones, and they were so good. I think I like them better than the Audio Technica one I bought later on. As I went on, I was like, man, these things were good, and they kept changing brand names. It was the same microphone, but they just it was weird. But I still have them somewhere in a tote, and I was like, I've upgraded quite a bit since then. So, but yeah, I don't know anything about any of this stuff. So
yeah, sometimes the cheap stuff can be so solid. I got this from my my bassist recommendation for live shows. Because you have just your standard Shure, was it 57?
Yeah.
58. And yeah, those they're definitely built for the road and built for big boy voices.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing a lot of big boy singing, so this is helps capture some of the other stuff.
Nice.
The others don't get.
I like that.
And Haley Williams, I don't know if she still does, but she used to use the wireless version. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Hold on. My Amazon Echo is talking to me.
Oh, what's it saying?
I don't know. That was weird. Those things are they just randomly turn on. It's very bizarre. This world is. So I have one in every room because sometimes I want to listen to the same thing everywhere, and it works for that purpose. Mm-hmm. But then it just starts talking for no reason. That was weird. Megan from work. Megan, thank you for doing this. I'm a big fan of your work. No pun intended. I absolutely love Hell Beach. And then when I started, I checked out you had that acoustic demo little EP, and I loved that. And then all of a sudden you had studio stuff coming from Megan from work. So yeah, I'm a big fan of your stuff. It's I think it's very deep. Some of the things you sing about, and I want to ask, like, before we get into the music side of it, or at least these songs, how many instruments do you play?
Just guitar and keys.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have never seen anybody play the guitar like you do. Right? That's what that thing's called, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You absolutely rocked that thing. When I saw you guys at Faces, when I saw Hell Beach play at Faces, I was just like amazed. And you're like, you were in sync with everything that was going on as far as like movements, like, you know, you're jumping up and down and you're playing it, and like, yeah. How long did it take to learn how to play it that, like, to play like a keyboard that way?
It didn't really take long at all. Guitar is my first instrument. That's like my native. I don't know. I just feel very comfortable in that stance. And the parts that I play are pretty simple. So it isn't. I imagine if you're trying to play like Mozart on a guitar, like that would probably be some craziness. But
I think you
as
could
far
do
as
it. I think you should now.
well, with your encouragement, who knows? Yeah, so it's funny that you saw us at Faces and I was playing the guitar, because our first show ever was at Faces, and I was on like a regular keyboard, like on a stand and everything.
Okay.
And that's how we'd been practicing. And I'm up there, and the way I always say it, I just felt like I was like in a submarine or like in a spaceship. Like I'm just completely separate from what's going on with the guys, and like, I don't know, it's very hard to dance and move around and like be in it. So we literally got off stage and like packed our stuff, and I was like Googling guitars while the next band was up, because I was like, that's not gonna work.
Wow. And it was pretty easy to learn, like to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, not too tough.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, I don't know, but I just feel like it's a different, like, one, it's going to be different, like, movement of hands than if you're standing at a keyboard, and two, like, it's going to be different than strumming a guitar, right? You know, so that's cool though. I mean, you absolutely, you guys killed it that night. Like that was I was just amazed by that show. That whole show was great, you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, are you from New England originally?
No, I am from Texas originally.
Okay. What brought you out to New Hampshire? That's a big jump.
I double jumped. So first I was in California. I was living in LA doing comedy there.
Oh wow. Okay.
But like musical comedy, Flight of the
Yeah.
Conchords, Tenacious D.
Yeah.
And I had met a friend of a friend who's from up here originally from the Cape, lived in California doing comedy, came back over here for his wife's family stuff. And he was visiting California, and I was, saying I'm writing music and I want to write real songs and not joke songs. And he was like, oh, my buddy has a home studio in Brookline, New Hampshire, come record for a week, and we'll send you back to LA, do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in 2018 for my project called Bad Sandy.
Okay.
So we recorded that record in September. I came back in October to do a little 3-week tour.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was here in October, I was like, can we just be a band? Can I just move here and we just do this?
Yeah.
And then December of 2018, I was here.
Nice. So
Yeah.
it just felt right, huh? It just felt like, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was just like, this place is so gorgeous. And like, here we are.
There's seasons.
This rocks.
There's seasons.
Yeah,
here.
there's seasons. Yeah, it's gosh, I guess it would have been, 50, 60 degrees. What a treat.
Yeah. So all right, so that's cool. And so you've moved around. So you went to LA for comedy, or California for comedy.
I was doing it in Austin, doing
yeah.
like improv and sketch and stuff. So yeah, I was doing comedy from like 2010 to 2016 in Austin, and then 2016 to 2018 in LA.
Oh wow. Okay. Do you still perform stand up? No.
I say I'm reformed.
Yeah.
I'm a reformed comedian.
Yeah. Is there a big difference in like the performance side between playing just being in a band and playing music and then doing stand up? Like is there any kind of link between the two, or is it very different?
There are some links because of course you have you're on stage, you have a microphone, you have command of the room, and you have an audience, and it's always a conversation with the audience, but the conversation is pretty different. In comedy, you're getting constant feedback on how you're doing, because if you're doing a good job, you're getting laughs.
Yeah.
If it's not going well, it's silent. And in music, you get some cues, people bobbing their heads, but for the most part, you can play a show where you don't really get a reaction, and then afterwards, people are like, "That was so cool!" And you're like, you can't really tell in the moment. You don't get that same instant gratification.
Yeah. Creatively, is there a difference for you? Like, does it feel the same? Like for me, like I write and then I do, like the podcast stuff. I actually have found like editing video and audio is very satisfying for my creative side, but nothing beats writing for me. You know what I mean? Like writing is it for me.
Definitely. I think that there is so much more depth to writing music that isn't for laughs. When I was writing songs, I'm like, oh, what's a punchy little line? And how can I deliver this in like the silliest way, or in a way that I know that I'm going to get that immediate pop? And writing now feels very much like diary entries, and it feels like I'm writing these things for myself, knowing that anything that I'm feeling or going through, I'm not the only person who's ever felt that or gone through it. So it is for people, but it's very much for myself to process too.
Yeah. That's like basically that's the mission statement of this podcast, is this like you're not alone. You know what I mean? Like somebody out there is, and when I have artists on like yourself to share their stories, and we get feedback, and you know what I mean, that to me, like that's like yes, like you know what I mean, because I'm old, I'm in my 40s, and like I very much felt alone for most of my life, because like I came from a different time where like you're not supposed to talk about your feelings, and and like at 35 I started to, and I'm like, holy shit, like this is way better than keeping it all pent up. So I'm gonna say this, like I think your lyrics are phenomenal, and like very like I get the meaning with them, and it's you have like there's like subtleties, but there's also direct. It's a good blend. Do you think? And I'm sorry that I keep going back to this comedy thing, but I just learned about it from you. So, do you think like writing lyrically, like it helped doing comedy at first?
Yeah, I think that it helped me work through things in a different way. I think that that's kind of the first step towards being able to work through stuff in a more honest way. Is, I don't know, like when we're teenagers and we're in our early 20s, I feel like it's very easy to make jokes about things that are hard. I was writing a lot about relationships and like ways that I was being treated by guys, and it was a lot easier to, I don't want to say it, to be like, isn't this crazy and kind of messed up?
Yeah. I write stuff about like when I write about like mental health and stuff. It's always real things, but like I've done a few performance stuff like where I'll go and I'll like do storytelling, but I'll make sure it's like funny. It might not be like, it's not like stand up level, but like I want to make sure like I don't want to just bum out the crowd, you know?
Yeah, it is nice to give everyone like that sigh of relief kind of when things are heavy.
Yeah, yeah. And it is. It's still therapeutic in the way of like getting it out, you know? So yeah. So but with music, I feel like it's so you could we'll take Hell Beach for example. You could have some really heavy lyrics and put this real poppy like fun sound behind it and like, you know, and like
That's the shit.
yeah. So it's like you never like you don't have to bum the room out with it, you know what I mean? So I think like I always feel like musicians always were kind of ahead of the curve, right? They've always, when it comes to mental health, they've always been able to put it out there through their writing and through their music. And like I just like it's a good vehicle to get it out there. But like internally, it's got to feel good too, because there's people who go through these things and they don't know how to get it out, and then there's like the creative people who like need to create things because that's the sense of accomplishment they need. But then when you get both of them mixed together, you get great music. You know. So how did you so all right, so your first band was Bad Sandy, right? And that was when you first came out here. Okay. And then when did Megan from Work start? When was this project started?
That started after the pandemic kind of broke everything up and put everything on pause. So I started writing these songs, oh my gosh, maybe 2021 for some of them, some of the earliest ones, and 2022 is when I started performing out.
Nice. And then when did you join up with the Hell Beach crew?
January of 2023.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, like
cool.
new
Did you know
year,
them
new
at all?
project. Not really.
Yeah?
I was familiar with them within the scene, and with Secret Spirit and everything. But I don't know that I had ever met them or talked to any of them other than, you know, just like some random online interactions.
How does when joining up with a band that like they were all pretty tight, right? They were all in Secret Spirit prior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when was it intimidating for you to like kind of like come into this project and be like, all right, I'm the new person here, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I very much felt like I was like auditioning to be in the band.
Yeah.
When we all got together for the first time, and yeah, they're all super tight. Have known each other for years, played together for years, already have like a chemistry together musically. And I show up and the keyboard is not my native instrument and I'm not super comfortable and I'm wearing a white shirt and everyone else is wearing all black. And I'm like, oh, duh, like a punk band. Like just those little things like that where I'm like, I'm so lame. This is never going to work.
But it did work.
Yes, they were all super cool. We started by like learning a cover song and then just kind of noodled around with things after that. And then yeah, I was like, I guess I'm in. They didn't tell me that I'm not. I keep getting invited back to practice. So.
Yeah, that's great. Do you like, so did it feel like when you started practicing with them and everything, did the nerves go away? Were you kind of like, oh wow, this fits? Like just kind of like how when you came out here and just felt it, like you needed to be out here? Yeah.
In a way, I still feel very nervous and I still feel like, and I don't mean this in a self-deprecating way, I do feel like the least talented member of Hell Beach, but like in a way that has pushed me and challenged me to like want to step up to their level. And that makes me feel like a badass, being like, oh, okay, like I know what to do here now. Like I'm starting to, I guess it's been like a year and a half almost or more, but I feel like I'm in the rhythm now.
Yeah. Now tell me about the challenge. The challenge is like, are you someone that you need to test yourself constantly for like to feel that? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's good because like we're constantly evolving as people, right? So like we have to, if we stay, I've always had this thing. Now I've kind of backed off a little bit on this stance, but like to me, I was like, content means you're stagnant. Like, but content,
Sure.
being content doesn't mean that. Like I was just constantly, like I moved around a lot, and like I had businesses that I would start these like little businesses, and I would like, oh, I want to learn how to do this. And like, and that's cool. And I still do that kind of thing, but like, I've like kind of rooted myself now, which I'm having a hard time like grasping, you know, because I've been such like the wanderer my whole life. So, but like, I think there is a certain level of like, once you get too comfortable with something, you do begin to lack. So like, I'm always constantly pushing and trying new things as well. Like trying to like, all right, how do I get like we'll take the podcast. Like, how do I level up the podcast? And I'm like, oh, I know, I'm going to start a new sub series where it's MTV News, but for like the independent scene. And you know, the first episode took me 8 hours to make 10 minutes with all the editing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so I'm like
absolutely.
constantly like trying to, and not only that, like I feel like not to go back to this, but like I felt like we needed something where everyone can like put their stuff in one place, because the algorithms just screw everything up on social media. So, but yeah, no, it was like I'm always constantly kind of like pushing myself. Like let's see what this does. You know?
Yep. Yeah. When you have a project, it's like, how can I take it a step further, push it a little more? For myself, I always want to be writing better and playing better and just like refining, you know, what my voice is and, you know, the sounds I like to make. And there's like always something to learn.
And now, when did Megan from Work start? Like as far as you have a full band now.
Yeah.
When did that kind of happen?
This band came together last year.
Okay.
I got put on Hope Fest in Salem, and a couple months before, I was like, I reached out to Joey Martin to see if he would do bass with me, and then like complete waterfall effect. I ran into Luis Hernandez, who plays guitar at a show, and he's like, "Hey, like my time and my space is kind of freed up a little more. Like if you still want to, you know, try to do guitar together." And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I have a show that I need to get booked out. And then Alex Roskansky, our drummer, messaged me on Instagram out of completely nowhere and was just like, hey, do you need a drummer? And I was just like, what is happening? It's like, yes. And this is exactly the people who I would like to be doing this with.
Yeah. All right, so let's look. I want to look at this real quick. So like this started last year, so 2023. You got here in 2018. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're in the community, right? You've been here for a handful of years now. Granted, 2020 to like the end of 2020, the end of 2021 was a little like, you know, but the community's still there, right? So
Yeah.
I can see why people want to like reaching out to you. It's just cool that it happened at the moment you wanted it to.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens when life's just like, here you go.
Yeah. So how long have you been planning this album that's coming out?
Also since around the same time last year.
Okay.
So July of last year, I didn't have the band together, and I reached out to Steve Alaperta from Kennedy Studios in Burlington, Mass, not the Vermont one. And I was like, hey, like I'm looking to make this record. Like, would you play drums on it? And so he actually recorded all of the drums, and then the band came together, and everyone else recorded on top of that.
Nice. Now, you don't play drums?
Oh no! I think drums are the coolest instrument. I've sat at a drum kit a few times,
Yeah.
but I have no idea how
Now,
that works.
but do you know, like, because one of the biggest things I always ask, and I'll ask this, you know, we'll get to this part, but I always ask about like, how do you write a song? What do you hear in your head? Do you hear the beat? Like, can you hear the drum beat in your head? Okay.
Definitely.
All right. So you know what you want. It's just a matter of getting someone who can play the drums to get that for you, right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. To
All right.
translate it, I'm
Yeah.
very much like a rhythm guitar player, and I hear melody and rhythm mostly in my head.
Yeah, because I've never had that. I've never had sound. It's like it's just words, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish I did. Like, to me, I always tell people, I make the joke that like once I figure out how to write a song, then I'll end the podcast because I ask everybody this. So, but yeah, so for like I will say this though, recently I started having like this like beat in my head, and I was like, I think I need to go buy like a drum machine or something, like a drum, like a synthesizer with the drums on it. You know what I mean? To try to figure this out. I'm still in the market for one, so, but it's still there inside my brain. And it's funny, I have all these programs, like I have all these like DAWs and stuff that have built-in stuff, and I just don't know how to use it. I only know how to record like this. So I should just play around with that, because I think it goes back to that challenging thing. I've never had that before, and now I might, it might be something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Even on like the phone app version of GarageBand, there's like a very easily laid out like symbol and
Really?
and yeah.
You want to know a secret? I can barely
Always.
work my phone. I know how to text. I know how to take pictures. I know how to open up social media. That's about where it goes, where it stops. I think there's a voice memo thing. I just don't know how to do it yet. So.
All right, you'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. I've got an iPhone X still, so I don't know if that means.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what the capabilities are on that thing. At the time, I was told it was the best electronic device on the planet, so I got it.
I bet it was.
I'm sure it was in 2017 when I got it. So. But yeah, I'll get there. I have a beat, and you're the first person I've told this to. So I have this beat in my head, and I need to get it out, and I don't know how. I got to figure it out. It's gotta happen.
Yeah, we have the technology.
We do. We do. So, all right. So let's get into these songs. So I heard the acoustic demos. Are all three of these songs on the new record? I know two of them are. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, they all will be.
Cool. Yeah. So, and then this drop. Let's see. I'm trying to think let me see if I put the schedule in for when I had this episode. This episode is probably going to drop the Monday after your album comes out.
Oh, cool.
So we're not going to spoil anything if we talk about that third song you had sent me. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all right, cool. Yeah, let's get into it. I mean, I tell me about Girl Suit, because that was the first song I heard, and it was the acoustic version, and like it blew me away. And then the album version is just as good, and I love the difference between them, though. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they translate either way, So
I think that's the mark of a great song, and I always write everything on acoustic and then move it to electric, and if it's not rocking on the acoustic, then it's like, I think the way that it translates, it's still going to fall a little flat when you bring it to full band. So I try to get it sounding like as close to in my head as possible without all of the moving parts. Yeah, so Girl Suit is the title track of the record. It is one of the first songs that I wrote for it, and it all just came from a melody stuck in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Girl Suit is just that thing gets stuck in your head, and then you sit with the guitar, and sometimes the guitar is like, I'm not gonna give you the rest of the song, and other times it like spills all the way out.
Yeah.
And this one kind of spilled all the way out. And what do I want to say about it? Yeah, I just had this weird line in my head for a while of like I feel like a space worm in a girl suit. Like I feel like this weird little thing in here, and this is just like the suit that I've been given to move around our world. And when I decorate it girlier, and when I act girlier, I'm a server, I get better tips at work if I wear makeup, just things like that. And this really came out of being in a relationship where I came out as gender fluid, and it's a difficult thing for your partner to come to you with. I definitely understand that. it wasn't received the best, and I still felt like I had to keep myself in this box even though I had like come out.
Yeah.
I couldn't perform and be the way that I felt because that's still not quite what they liked about me maybe, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
It sucks when you can't be who you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that lockdown really put people in a place where they had to sit with themselves,
Mhm.
and you take yourself away from society and from the world and from the habits of, you know, dyeing my hair blonde, and I don't know, there's just something to it where I really felt like, oh, I'm realizing that I'm maybe this whole other person, and I would like to shed that layer
Mhm.
to reveal that,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's. I mean, I've listened to the song and like, then again, I heard the acoustic version. Like, I got like choked up listening to it because it's like, it's, it's a very, it sucks not being able to feel like you can be who you are, you know. And I've struggled with things with that in aspects of my life. Not on not on some levels as like maybe not as big as some things in life with people, but like for me, like just trying to like I had to pretend to be somebody who I wasn't, and like I hated it, and like I again I think you're right with like people had a lot of time to sit down and they had to get like it sucks getting lost in your head, but sometimes you need to dance on that fringe to kind of what I mean to kind of figure things out, So yeah, this song was like it blew me away, and then like I said, I heard the album version, and I was like, oh,
The anthem, the synths all the way back there, and the
yeah.
pink vocals.
I like shared it with people. I'm like, you gotta check this out. Like you gotta, and I knew some of the people that I shared it with that like they would like it would really hit them. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I it's like anthemic for anybody who struggles with things that like just not being themselves, what regardless if it's like a gender thing or whatever, it's just like your writing is you're very good at writing.
Oh, thank you. That was like it was so interesting to me because whenever we would perform that live, one or two people after the show would be like, "When are you putting out Girl Suit?" They're like, "That's the song." That's the one that everyone was like, "I need to be able to listen to that." And I was kind of, I don't know, I guess mildly worried that I would be putting out what feels like a genderqueer anthem, but I'm still trying to get to that feeling that is even below that surface of just like I'm not getting to be myself with a person
Yeah.
or in any situation, and I do think that people are able to connect to that because
Yeah, I think
wear
so.
our little masks.
Yeah, of whatever it is too, right? So, and again, you had said earlier, like you wrote these songs to like for you, and it's cool. I hate to say that I hate saying cool, but like it's good to feel like you're not alone in that,
Yeah.
So, yeah, this was a good one. This was like, again, this was the first one I had heard, and then you dropped the big single on it, and I was like, oh yeah. So now is there, and again, like it's like, I don't know. I think a lot of people can relate to it in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I think that shows like the talent in your writing.
Oh, thank you.
What was that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said earlier, I haven't experienced an emotion that no one else has experienced.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to capture that the best I can
Yeah.
so that other people can hear themselves in that
And
and get to feel it out.
yeah, no doubt. Also, I want to talk real well. I mean, we could talk about the song Vessel because that was one of the ones you sent me as well. That was also on the acoustic demo that I had heard, right?
Yeah.
And like that second, I don't know, is that the verse right there? Hold on, I have it up right here. I wrote
It's
it
like
down.
a song that's all verses. It's so weird. There's no chorus.
It's crazy. I like it though. I like it. It's the second one with I'm a restless sitter, a sore loser, and a lousy winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't just like sing that to me, like that is like that whole like you don't really wait, what's the next one? When I'm deep in my head, I lose the world around me. Like yes. That's I work overnights, Megan, because I can't stand silence. Like I can't sleep in silence because of that. Yeah. So
You have to sleep with the chaos of people waking up and doing the morning outside.
Yeah. I need like the cars rumbling by, and like it's the only way because my brain won't shut off. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like so again, another song where I was like, oh man, like I get it. Like, so, well, tell me about Vessel from the writing standpoint of it.
Oh man, Vessel. Can I cuss?
Oh yeah. If I haven't cussed yet, I'm shocked.
Vessel was such a bitch to write. It did not want to be written. It was so crazy. I feel like I was really wrestling with this one. This song started, it had to have been in 2019 because I was still living with my buddy George. And again, it's just these melodies that pop into my head and that I want to explore and flesh out. But sometimes you pick up your instrument and you're like, okay, I'm a vessel, aren't I? And it's like, so what? It's like, and so what's next? You're like, I don't know, help me out. And it's like, no,
you're on your own.
And then I would like be at work or something, or I'd be driving somewhere, and then I would like I would get the next snippet of it and then write home and then, keep trucking with it. But this one, I remember finishing writing it New Year's of 2021. 2022? No, 2022. And it just felt like this, like, oh, thank goodness, like new year, I get to finish the song.
Yeah, I get to start a new song now.
Yeah. Luckily, it just depends on the timing, but usually my brain will let me have other songs as other ones are kind of on the back burner until they're ready to be finished. So that was the case. I did have Girl Suit after this one. I had some other things. But yeah, this one really took its time. And to me, my favorite band in the entire world is The Killers, more than anyone.
I noticed on your social media, didn't you just go like on a road trip to see them or something?
Yeah. I flew to California and then drove to Vegas to see them do 20 years of Hot Fuss. And I am reinvigorated and I am changed by it.
Hey, that's awesome.
But I love Brandon Flowers' songwriting, and Sam's Town is my favorite album of all time. And a lot of those songs don't have, a classic, verse, chorus, bridge structure. And I knew when I was writing this one that I wanted the big Killers guitars and the synth back there, and I just wanted it to be huge and dramatic, that slow down in the middle of it just for the drama. Yeah, this is my guitarist's favorite one because he gets to shred on the part in the end.
Yeah.
It gets so stuck in my head.
Now, let me ask you, so this song took you a while, like you said, to write, but do you write multiple songs at once? Like, will you get an idea for something else?
Definitely.
And does that frustrate you with that one song even more? Because you can like bang out like 2 or 3 songs and be like, what are you doing over here?
What's your problem? Yeah, I'll go back to it. I'll like write 2 or 3 songs, and then, it'll be 2-3 months later, and I'm like, all right, like now it'll be ready to come out. And then it's like, no, for some reason, still no. It feels very torture.
I have that problem with writing projects, and like I outlined something in 2002, and then I just put it on the shelf because I had nothing for it.
Yeah.
And then in 2014, I had a dream about it out of nowhere, and I like started writing it. I'm like, and I think like, and then I put it on the shelf again. And then a couple years ago, I started a project and finished it, and I feel like it had the same like bone structure as the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I evolved it into like a completely different, more of like a coming of age story about like someone going home, and you know what I mean? So like, cause the original project was kind of dark, this guy comes home and like he was like kind of like a criminal, had like a criminal element to it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this one, in the newest version, it was just about a guy coming home and having to deal with like the aftermath of like leaving everyone behind, and you know, and like him dealing with his own mental health, and you know. So like and I really didn't think about it till just now. And I was saying it to you that like I think it's the same story. If like I put them next, like you know what I mean. Like if you line them up, like the map I think is the same. I didn't even think about it.
It grew with you.
Yeah. So I don't even think I have to go back to that original one anymore because I have this one.
That's so crazy that it came to you in a dream. I mean, I don't mean crazy. I mean like just so classic.
Yeah. It's just like I woke up and it was the whole like that's how I get the whole story in my head. And then it's about like, so it starts as like that's when I outline it. I'm like, all right, let's start filling things in. And then, you know, it just like, it got crazy like that. So I understand how like frustrating one thing, like, why won't you just do your job?
Give me you.
Yeah. You got to help me out here, buddy. You know, like I'm constantly like yelling at things that can't talk back to me, you know?
Yeah. And then of course, like the more that you like push against it and try to beat your head into the wall, the more that I'm like, well, if I just, maybe I'll go to this chord, like the more struggle there is, the more resistance. It's like the Chinese finger trap.
I thought you were going to go like polarities, like when you put them and they push away.
That too.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. So, as of now, like the date we're recording this, the people who are listening, the Pims just dropped, right?
Yeah.
Did I say that right? The Pims?
Yes, the Pims.
All right, good, because I added it into like this month's news segment, and like I was like, I hope it's the Pims and not like PIMS. I don't know what's going on here. So
yeah, altogether, I really toiled over how to write it out for Spotify and for those things, because I was like, should I put the dots? But then I was like, well, no, like it is the Pims, but it's just a stupid acronym.
What's it mean? What's the acronym mean?
It's the pit inside my stomach from the chorus.
I didn't know. I actually Googled the Pims and I came up with something completely different than that.
Yeah, a lot of random stuff out there.
Yeah.
You just Google the Pims.
That's how nerdy I am. I have to like Google things sometimes. Like I don't know what this means.
I did the same thing when I was like making the title. I was like, is that going to be weird when people Google it? And I was like, yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah, tell me let's talk about this one. This one dropped. This dropped what, yesterday? 2 days ago?
Yeah. Yesterday.
I've lost all concept of time working. Oh yeah, the 10th. That's my sister's birthday. Yeah, it dropped yesterday.
Wow, happy birthday.
Yeah. I'll let her know.
Okay, so the Pims is the second to last song that I wrote for this record. And it is about that feeling you get when you hear someone's name from your past, and it's a name you don't like to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And it came about, I guess I'll just really reveal it all. Twist my arm. I was Instagram stalking my ex, who I do have blocked, but sometimes I just get a little curious and I unblock him and I see what he's up to. And he was up here, now he's back in Texas, and he's in my hometown, and it's a place I don't go very often. And just all of these feelings bubbled right back up. I don't know what I was looking for, but I found it. And it was just feelings of a little bit sick to my stomach and stressed out. And this song was fully just gave itself up. I immediately had the back in the city, and just everything else flowed really freely from it. And I think it's just because it's from such a everyone knows this feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
call it our stroke song because to me it's very strokesy. I would love to hear Julian Casablanca sing it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was a good. I listened to it. I got it. I bought it, and I started listening to it, and I'm like, God damn it! Every one of these songs, you get me in one aspect or another. You know?
That's the awesome thing about getting older is like, so I just turned 32, and I feel like I could not have written any of this in my 20s, both just from lived experience and just not being able to really get to the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when I was in my 20s, I was stopping at anger. I was like, "Oh, this sucks, and everyone is unfair to me, and I am mad," and I wouldn't have like dug down into the more like, well, what am I really feeling here? And like, w- it's not anyone's fault, just what's the truth of the situation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, I know this. I know that story all too well. But you're ahead of the curve because like I'm still trying to figure out that past the anger part. So, you know, no,
Anger is like the first one you feel, and it's always because it's covering something up.
Yeah,
like, just
yeah.
right under there.
That's what I was taught. I was taught like that's the only one that comes out. You know what I mean? Like, and I will say though, I started therapy when I was like 35. So I will say like the older I got in my 30s, like it did go away. Like there's still I have to keep. I feel like if I lose all of it though, I'm gonna lose part of me. So I hang on to a little bit of it. You know, just a smidge. You know. I think it keeps me going because, like, I remember I went to when I first started going to therapy. I had mentioned anger management, and she's like, "Well, you kind of manage it pretty well. You just work yourself to death. Just how about we just get rid of it?" And I was like, "All right, let's try that." You know. So yeah. So anyway, yeah. You are ahead of the curve when it comes to digging down deeper into that. I think so. You know.
Yeah, you can't put an album out of 10 angry songs. Maybe one or two.
Fair
Or
enough.
I can't at least.
Fair enough. So there's 10 songs on the album?
Yes, 10 tracks.
All right, cool. Today I had a chance to listen to well, I mean, I re-listened to because you had sent me some of the tracks, but I really dug into I just listened to it like 5 times in a row. City Streets and Highways.
Yeah.
And like I feel like this one's got a little bit of a different vibe. No?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's just like I just felt like I don't know. Maybe it was like not a, how am I gonna put this? Like it just like I don't know. It felt I don't know. I just kind of was like grooving. Maybe I was in a better mood today. I don't know.
Well, this one is a really positive song.
Okay, yeah.
Like this one oh my gosh. Our producer who recorded our guitars, Ben LeBeau, said, "Oh, your Bruce Springsteen song."
Yes. All right.
"Oh,
That's
yes, thank you."
yes. That's maybe that's what I was getting from it. You know what I mean? Like that.
Where it's like, you got fight left in you, son.
Yeah.
And, I have to bring it back to my guys and the Killers because Bruce is like Brandon's Brandon for me. And it's a very easy like trickle down bossonomics to see in some of my writing lately. Where I love the anthems. I love the like don't give up. I work so hard on my feet for so long in the heat on the patio, and it's just you have those days where you work a double and you did 30,000 steps and you're just like so spent, but you're like, I did it. I did it, I accomplished it, and this money's going to, making my art and making my dreams come true.
Yeah.
And just the sense of like it's all worth it for something, so you got to keep doing it. And this one came to me in the car. I was driving to New York City by myself to do a show, and it was the first time that I'd ever gone from up here to New York and driven alone. I'd been to New York, but I hadn't driven alone. And I was really nervous about it. And I was just on the highway, and I was just like, I know how to drive on a highway. Like, I got to New York, and I was like, these are just streets. I've driven on a street. And it was like, any way you slice it, it's all city streets and highways. And I don't know, I probably have a voice memo of it. I always try to safely get one in the car if it comes to me. I think I got pretty far in this one, but it was an easy one to write too, because I knew what I was trying to capture and what I was trying to get across.
Nice. So I'm gonna ask you something about like being a server, right? So you're saying you're like do you work at a like an outdoor place, or?
I work at a brewery that used to be like it's such a massive restaurant. We have a big outdoor patio space. We have a massive indoor space. We've got a back bar. We've got an upstairs. We've got 3 banquet rooms.
Seasonal or year round?
Year round.
It's year round. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I used to run at one point I ran a seasonal surf bar on a beach, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. But like when you were like saying how many steps you took, like I'd clock like 10, 15 miles a day, just running on the same property. Like I'm like, this isn't that big of a property, you know? Yeah. So like, yeah, you're right though. It's like, and then it's frustrating. And then, but like you said, like it's like, all right, this is going to help with this. And, you know, to get to that next point, it's just like, even the job I have now, like it's not hard. It's not like, it's like sometimes it can be a little physically demanding, but not really. Like I'm like bored most of the night. So we do an overnight shift. So we're basically like we're there in case something happens. You know what I mean? Like we have stuff to do, but like we're usually there just in case something happens. And like when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and like we haven't done anything, and I'm like, you know, like I just don't want to. But like it's like, all right, like the schedule fits the schedule that I need for my life. You know what I mean? So like for doing podcasting and going to shows. So I'm like, this is just all like just there to help. You know what I mean? So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, where you're like, I have to do this tough thing, and tough can mean anything. Tough can mean boring. Tough can mean physically demanding. It can be anything, but you're like, this is supporting what I really want to do. I gotta do it.
I do this when I have people on and I know they work in the hospitality industry. What is your superpower?
Ooh.
For work. What is your superpower at work?
That's a really good question.
So mine was like I tended bar for most of the time. That and work the door. Obviously, I'm a giant, but like my superpower was like, one, I was like entertaining, but like mostly I could do 10 drinks at once and then do another 10, and then I have 20 drinks in my head that I have to put in the computer. Like that was my superpower, was the memory for that. Now I couldn't tell you what I did yesterday, but I could put like, all right, this guy had a mojito, you know what I mean? Like I could do all that stuff, you know? So
yeah, I would say that mine is the entertainment and the charm. Like I'm a chameleon for what would most make the table like have a good time. I genuinely do like the work. Like I love like hosting people. I definitely tap back into the comedy stuff and do like callbacks. Like, oh, something funny was at the beginning of the meal. Guess what? At the end of the meal, I'm calling it back.
That's awesome.
I do like
that's very
tons of
good.
bits. Like I definitely have some standard lines that I go to. If everyone orders the same drink, I'm like, okay, guys, help me out here. Who had
Yeah.
the lazy days?
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
all look around. And I'm like, oh, you all did.
Yeah.
So stupid.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, it's fun.
I'd hire 10 of you. I would hire 10 of you.
Yeah, I like to keep the vibes good also.
Yeah.
Like with coworkers, I do my best.
It was so like one of the things, and one of the things I would do is I would pretend to be grumpy, and like people would like someone would be up, like people would come in and they'd be like, how's it going? And I would go, oh, no, how are you? And I'm like, superb. Like just like that. And then like I would just go from there. But like when I was the last job I had working in the industry, like I realized I was just being mean, and I was like, it's time to go. Like
Oh no.
yeah, it killed I was in Tennessee. It killed me. It like turned me into such a curmudgeon when it came to because like again, that was a business. Like I started in it young. I started working a door at the place that I ended up running on the beach when I was 17. And like I had so much fun. So whenever I did a job in that industry, like I had so much fun. Now, depending on like the establishment, again, I'm a big guy, so I like worked the door a lot. So there was certain places where I would work that like I was there not to like you had to play a certain part, you know?
Totally.
Yeah, I had to be like kind of like an asshole sometimes, you know? So like yeah, so
Gotta be
like
surly.
yeah, so like there was always like but like running like when I was running that place, like the biggest thing is like if I went to a place and like, you know, regardless, I would just like my job is to make sure everyone is safe and having a good time. And like that was like my goal, my MO for almost every gig except for the places where I go to, like I worked that were like seedy as hell. You know what I mean? They're like, all right, this is what you know, this is a little bit of a different place than normal. So but like, yeah, so, but at that point I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I was like, I gotta end this. Like, I realized I was like not being funny and cute with my grumpiness. I was being a fucking dickhead to people.
Like, I'm actually just being kind of rude.
Yeah. And it was cool that I recognized it because I was like, yeah, this is it. It's over. So I had to walk away from that industry. But I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun over the years, and I always did it as like a part-time job because like everyone was always like, "Oh, bartending's not a real job," you know what I mean? But like, when I took it serious, like I went pretty far. You know, it was like it was a lot of fun. You know, yeah. So I totally like I would hire a bunch of you just by how you were just telling me you are. I'd have 10 Megans from work. You know, just.
Well, when I was being trained, the server that I trained with, he is just like so funny. I'll give Dave C a shout out. He's like so fun with his tables and like was so silly. And like I think before that, my persona serving was just kind of like sweetie pie, which is totally fine. Just like, oh my gosh, yeah, like no trouble at all. But now I get to like push back and. And like have fun with them, and it's more of, you know, just like in comedy, more of a conversation both ways. Yeah, he's like, if people didn't want to be entertained, they wouldn't go out, they would just order pickup. Which I'm not sure is always true, but I think is a good way to look at it.
Yeah, no, I if I go out, I'm going out for the atmosphere though. I think that's accurate. Yeah,
I don't need my server to be hilarious. Like no matter what, I'm gonna like them and thank them for their service.
Yeah.
But it is always nice when you have someone who's like fun. It definitely changes the experience.
Then you see it in movies a lot. The one and there are real people that are like this. They're like overly like nice and like they're like constantly coming like they come back to the table too many times. You know what I mean? Like this stuff like, and I'm just like, ooh, man, like relax. You're getting a tip. Trust me. Hey, you're getting at least 30% from me. So just relax.
Right.
You know.
Do not worry about me, friend.
Don't worry about me. I'm having a conversation. I'm sorry I haven't refilled my drink yet, but you know I don't need a refill right now. You know I'm slowly drinking this one drink.
I'll tell people, I'm like, I'm so sorry, you're my only table right now. So if I am bugging you,
no doubt. Now, do they have live music where you work?
They do. They'll have like usually an acoustic performer or someone with like a guitar and like a drum loop. Usually just like an individual, and they play like 3 hours of covers.
Pulling covers. Yeah. That's the big thing.
So anytime it comes up, my table's always like, "Why don't you play here?" And I'm like, I don't know. I
Bust
don't
out a
know.
comedy set. That's what you should do.
Oof. So rusty.
Is any of that stuff anywhere? Like on like YouTube or
I
anything?
scrubbed it.
Oh, you scrubbed it. Wow.
It's
okay.
like, I'm sure, I don't know. Comedy also just like doesn't always age super well.
No,
Like,
you're right.
my stuff is very of the time, and of the time for me was like the sad girl, like self-deprecating, like boys don't like me, or like I'm quirky and Zoe Deschanel, and I just look at it now and I'm like, someone help them. Get them out of there.
Yeah. No doubt. I get it. You know, and you're right. Sometimes like stuff doesn't. It's comedy is more about the moment of time than it is anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I had some stuff on SoundCloud for a while, and I forgot that it was there until some people started like commenting like, "This is cringe," and I was like, "Ugh,
Oh no.
it is now."
Yeah.
At the time,
Yeah.
people really enjoyed that.
I heard. Did I hear Jordan correctly last time he was on? Did you direct one of the music videos?
Yeah, the Poison Mind one, and I
Yeah.
edited it.
And you edited it?
Mhm.
All right. So tell me, have you done directing before?
Yeah, and all through comedy. So I used to teach improv. I taught sketch. I directed sketch shows. I would do. I had like a one-person show every 3 months, like a new hour of material, and that was all self-directed. And I would like make videos for it that I would direct and everything. So yeah, I definitely feel like I've always had a like artistic director or creative director vibe, and I don't get to use it all the time, and I haven't used it in a long time before that. And when that came up, I was like, "Oh, I know how to do this." And I like to do it.
So will you be Megan for hire for videos for people or?
Oh yeah, hit me
Yeah?
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
All
would
right.
love to.
All right. I'll make sure I put something in the show notes about that. So.
Yeah. Editing I like to do, especially if I worked on directing it. Like I kind of have a vision in mind for how it goes. So yeah, I'll be your one-stop shop
Cool.
for your video needs.
That's awesome. Do you do camera work too or
No,
no?
you need a guy.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I have a friend who is a videographer, and he's always saying that like he'll show up to a video shoot and people think he's the director, and he's like, "Oh no, I thought I was just," and now he like has to come up with a concept.
Yeah. And
So.
that happens, right? That happens with people that because there's a lot of people that just the general public doesn't know that. You know, they think it's like they think Scorsese's behind the camera in like
Right, exactly.
yeah, and they still think the camera has like a the reel and.
Yes.
Any shows coming up that you want to promote, or is there going to be any touring for this, or?
Yeah, we're going to be doing a weekender in October. It starts October the 10th in New York City. We're doing Asbury Park on the 11th. We're maybe doing Philly on the 12th. The 13th is our big hometown album release show in Newmarket, New Hampshire. And then we're doing another one at Deep Cuts in Medford on Monday the 14th.
I love that place.
That place is so cool.
It's
Such good sound, such good people.
It does, yeah. And it's not too hot in that room. I've been there like packed.
No, they keep it cool.
Yeah, I went there to see the Iron Roses, and like it was like nice and cool. And I was like, I can't believe how cool it is in this room right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love the setup. You can go escape to the bar for a minute.
Yep. Yeah, right out the door. Poof, it's right there. Where can people find you on social media?
At Megan from Work all over Instagram, Facebook, I just got Threads.
Oh yeah,
So,
we're on the Threads
pretty
too.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm not on X. I went viral on Twitter in 2019 and it still haunts me, so I'm a little afraid to log back on.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. I left Twitter a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago. I really liked it.
Truly.
It had such a huge podcast community
Yeah.
that was like welcoming, you know? And
Mhm.
like it's just like, and then no.
When I was doing comedy, that was like the best place to shoot off my thoughts.
Mhm.
And it's so funny because I quit in like the middle of 2018, but I kept tweeting because I'm like, I still like to, talk shit online.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, a joke tweet went like mega stupid viral, and it still gets circulated to like crazy bitch problems on Instagram.
Oh wow. Yeah. Wow.
It's so dumb. So, but I did quit after that because I was like, I accomplished what I wanted, which was to go viral. Now I'm done.
You won. You beat
I
Twitter.
went out on top.
Yeah. Fuck that place, you know? I got shit on by Corey Feldman on Twitter.
Please tell me more.
He didn't like my above average review of a movie he was in. And like he didn't really shit on me. He was like, this guy was no fan of mine, and I was like, you just broke my heart because I was like his biggest fan when I was a kid. And then the Corey heads came for me. Oh, it was
wow.
bad. Yeah.
That's scary. It's scary when like a mob online comes for you.
Yeah, especially of a real like peculiar fandom.
Yeah. Any very specific demographic, they're ravenous.
Yeah. That was a wild time. That was a wild time when that happened. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, this guy thinks I hate him. Like, and again, like his characters were like my favorite growing up in all of those movies, you know? So yeah, it was,
Did you tell him? Did you clarify?
I tried. He wasn't hearing it. He probably didn't see it because everyone else, you know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Oh yeah. I was like, oh man, really? Like,
wow.
And I didn't even know about it. Someone like hit me up like, hey man, the website I wrote for, they're like, you need to get on Twitter. Yeah. Oh well.
Wow. That's so
I lost
silly.
Corey. He's doing all right with his music career, I guess. I don't know.
You'll have to have him on sometime so
No.
we clear the air.
Yeah. I'd reach out. That'd be funny. Yeah.
You never know.
Megan, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on and just chopping it up with me about your album.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I had a great time.
So the album drops on 10/4. This will be out right after the album drops. The album is called Girl Suit. You can pick it up on Bandcamp, and I want to. Hopefully, I can catch one of these shows at some point soon. It'd be great to come out and hang out with everybody and see Megan from work. You know.
Yeah, party it up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and that's the show. I want to thank Megan once again for being today's guest on the Struggling Artist Podcast. In the show notes, you will find all things Megan from work. Thank you to Chris Chavez for being producer of this show. Thank you to State Line Records for sponsoring this podcast. And thank you to the band Loser Circle for always allowing us to use their song, The Great Illusion of Time, off of their album Took Long Enough, as the theme song to this podcast. A huge thank you to everybody over on Patreon supporting us over there. If you want to see what's going on, head to patreon.com/podcast TSA. Our tiers are inexpensive. We have some cool things going on. Multiple shows that are Patreon exclusive, from Struggling Artist Radio, which is just my love letter to terrestrial radio, to the Struggling Artist Companion, which is when Chris Chavez interviews me about the guests we've had on the podcast. I also want to shout out our new patron, Kat. Thank you so much for joining the Struggling Artist Patreon. It is much appreciated. Thank you to everybody who listens and reaches out, sends us emails and text messages, and I'm still waiting for more voicemails. We're coming up on the end of the year. I'm going to need some voicemails to play for the anniversary episode. So 774-570-1552 is where you can call or text. Again, that number is 774-570-1552. And we're getting out of here. We have a song to play, the title track off of the album Girl Suit. This is Megan from work. Until next week, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you then.
not the same.